Okay, Chris, let's get back into this really quickly. We've covered critical, we've covered chronic, and the last one is terminal.
Right. Okay. Very straightforward. For almost 40 years now, a lot of life insurance policy have this thing attached to it called the terminal illness rider. And with the terminal illness says that if you are diagnosed with less than 24 months with a few companies, but most of them are 12, your doctor is certifying that you're terminally ill, you will die soon. They may not know exactly, but they can tell for sure based on your lab work that you will not be more than 12 months or less before you die, or 24 months unless you till you die. This will allow anyone to liquidate again a portion of their life insurance to use for whatever reason they may deem fit. I don't like the terminal illness riders as much, but they've been around forever. It's just a way of basically, it's still a benefit that's pretty much standard on all of today's cash value life insurance policies regarding terminal illness. You might be better off just instead of using the terminal illness rider, we can shop that insurance policy. It only takes about a week or less to what is known as the senior settlement market, or biatical settlements. Biatical settlements were very hot in the 90s. A lot of people were pro or con because people would sell their insurance, their death benefit at a discount to get money they needed today for their life, for their lifestyle. And then at the person's death, the insurance company would pay the beneficiaries, excuse me, the balance. But again, it's an option that's built in the majority of most life insurance policies in America and Canada.
Okay. Would you like to tell us your story about how you
yeah, definitely.
financially with your policy and how it kicked in and things went well?
Yes, and I got so much in the details. So for all our listeners, I apologize. Miss Roz asked me to tell you this about 20 minutes ago, but now I'm back on track.
No, we're educating them to what these policies can do, and you have done an excellent job. I'm so happy.
Well, what I'm doing right now for your people who are lucky enough to view this, I'm showing them, I'm holding up one of my checks. I had 2 checks. In October 2017, I was diagnosed with cancer, and prostate cancer. It was malignant. They told me I had it pretty good. The good news was I would later find out we got it early. But as I tell people, since 2007 or so, every 6 months I would go in and do my lab work because I was worried about diabetes of all things. And after 10 plus years of worrying about diabetes, I got by the diabetes, but now I got cancer. So go figure. But long story short, in October, they told me I had cancer and that they want to go ahead and get me in there as soon as possible. I went and enjoyed my last holiday for a little while. And I didn't, on March 1st, 2018 is when I had what is called a prostatectomy, where they take out the man's prostate. It was good. Everything went perfect. They said there was nothing left behind. So that was the good news as far as that, my cancer treatment. What was beautiful is that I did not have to undergo radio or chemotherapy. If I needed to, I could have, but they said they got it all. And so far to date, my labs have been, clean. What I tell people though, is that I remember in November, because I was on the road traveling when I got the news, and I came back to Los Angeles, and I remember calling National Life to say, look, Life of the Southwest, I'm one of the customers. I'm both an agent and a customer of the company. I said, yes, they tell me I got cancer and I'm going to have to go in and da. And said, okay, no problem. Just let us know. And I said, could you send me the claim form so I can see what I'm going to need to fill out, to do the claim. The young lady on the phone was so sweet and so professional, and maybe they're just trained like that. I wanted to take her out for lunch and dinner when she was done with me, because you're going through this traumatic period. But I tell people, she said, oh no, as soon as you get started, we're going to cut you the check. And so, she emailed me over the claim form, and it was so simple, barely a page and a half. The typical name, social security number, address, doctor's name, address, condition, boom, 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 and, yada, yada, yada. You check it off. Of course, the doctor signs your your claim form and their stamp, and in some case they might stamp or do both, and then you send it back to the company and they will process your claim. But what was so funny, I put the surgery off for like 4 months until October. I got diagnosed in till March. I got diagnosed in October, and I remember calling up. I said, "Oh, this is cool." So I filled it out. I had it pre-filled out, and I said, "So I send it to you now." And the lady on the phone, she said, "Chris, wait a minute. We're gonna pay you. We're gonna pay you, but they got to do something to you first." You know what I'm saying, Ross? I hadn't been in the hospital yet. She said, "Soon as they do something to you and they can put something on that paper, we will send you the money." She said, but she said, "It's a done deal with our company." And she wasn't, lying. I was so happy after the surgery was over this day. And so long story short, I told her, "Well, I'm going to be at home for the next 6 months anyway." So I told him, "Please mail me the check." So what I do for my customers, and Roz, you can feel free to show it to anybody who logs onto your website. I told her, "No, go ahead and send me the check, because I want to be able to hold the check to show people what I took out of my life insurance policy." So when it was all said and done, I was eligible to take out $75,000 at that time. I took out a little under, just under 40. And I just tell people that when it was all said and done, I still had $50,000 worth of insurance left over, which I now treat as a burial policy because it's paid up. And I had the option, I could cash the policy out and take every bit of much money they'll give me and just walk away and keep it, no further obligations. But I also knew, recovering from a major sickness like this, you still should have at least 10, 20,000 of insurance left over in case they need to bury you for any reason. So I made sure to leave, $25,000 to $50,000 left on my policy, and the rest I used for my living expenses. And it felt good. I did not have to borrow any money. I did not have to hock up my credit cards. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, have to go to relatives. I was able to pay my bills. I paid off my car, and like anything else. And it felt good to just heal and relax and worry about nothing but getting better. That's the strength of these living benefits policy, because you control everything. And the fact that they were ready to get that money, they were going to wire it into my account within 48 hours of the claim. And I said, "No, send me the check." It showed me that National Life and Life of the Southwest, that they're very serious about making sure people get what they need to maintain their lifestyle.
That is such a fantastic realization that you were able to have that money in a moment's notice, because you had the wherewithal to get it back in 2011. And see, 6 years later, fantastic.
And can I share this with you?
About.
Roz, and I'm going to talk, remember I told you about heart, remember we talked about some people not wanting to make their family rich. There are two other caveats to this story which really hurt my feelings, but I want to share it with your people, and just all your people listening to Roz Butler's podcast here, feel free to laugh, you have my permission. But let me tell you two hard luck stories that went into this claim. First of all, I had a little over $250,000 in coverage when I took this out in 2011, because I replaced another company because I liked all the benefits of this one better. And being an insurance agent, I could see it was better. But after literally 2011, it was at the start of 2016, I don't have kids, I didn't have any mortgage, and I don't have any alimony. I said, "Look, my family does not need $250,000 to say goodbye to me." You know what I'm saying, Ross?
Yeah.
And I kid you not. So here's what my little ignorant self did. Mr. Insurance guy, I've been in this business 30 years. I said, "Look, I'm going to lower it to like 100,000 because this is going to be my burial policy. Half will go to my cousin, my father, whatever. My mother's already gone." I said, "If that's not enough, then they're just going to have to be mad at the funeral, So I tried to lower it to 100,000. And lo and behold, because of the tax laws that are attached to cash value life insurance, the lady said, "Chris, you can't go below 150 or whatever." So I said, "Okay, knock off that," because I knew that the more money that goes into the policy, the faster it will be what we call paid up. See, with cash value life insurance, if you accelerate the payment, you can always call customer service and say, "Ma'am, could I have a 10-pay, 7-pay, or 5-pay option to see how fast I can pay this up and be done with it for the rest of your life?" So I was pushing paid up premiums, so I lowered the face amount. How would I know that literally less than a year and a half after I lowered from 250 down to 150, I would get diagnosed, with cancer? So as far as I'm concerned, I screwed myself out on an extra $100,000 of tax-free money when I did
Wow.
that. If you
Isn't
understand where
that
I'm coming, for being cheap, you know what I'm saying? For being cheap.
and my motto is cheap is not always good.
Yes, and let me tell you the
I've
other
come to
funny
the
story.
realization cheap is not always good. And see how that came to fruition for you, that you could have had, rather than getting 45,000, you could have got 85 or 100 and still had plenty left.
Absolutely. And let me tell you the other half of this would really rubbed in. Of course, what are you going to do? You're at home, you're healing, you're watching the videos. I can't go nowhere because my body has to heal. So I ran the numbers. I was barely paying $100 a month when I took it out in 2011. Okay, because of course you're young. I had preferred everything. Anyway, I added up all my premiums. I paid a little over $6,100. It wasn't hardly nothing for a $250,000 policy, and then I lowered it to try to get it paid up. But total money in since 2011 was like $6,100 and some change. But I took out 40,000 tax-free, and I still have, 50,000 left over still in place. So this is why I try to tell people, this is the power of a living benefits plan. You can still take care of yourself, still cover your obligations, and leave things to your family or your community if you care.
Great story, Chris. You have been a wealth of knowledge. I hope people are getting how these policies can work for you. A lot of African-American men period, are coming down with prostate cancer. This is a serious program, if for nothing else. Gentlemen, please look into and talk with people such as myself or Chris about obtaining one of these policies before this type of thing strikes. You cannot afford to not have something in place.
Absolutely.
For your family, for yourself as the breadwinner, the legacy builder, creating a legacy for your community, and also to show your children that saving, if you look at real estate, if you look at insurance as any other way, look at it as a forced savings account that's going to give you a tremendous compound interest looking product at the end that's going to have a lot of money there for you to continue.
Absolutely.
And the policy that you got, was it an index universal life? You never did say.
Oh yeah, no, it was an IUL. It was, and Nick, and by the way, you can get them with the fixed interest or the index interest. I had an index. It was called the Paragon. They don't issue that policy anymore because they've been, matter of fact, the policies have gotten better. But yeah, I had an IUL. It's still an IUL, but it's only, like I said, it's only down to, 50,000 now as a, I use it now as
Can you still increase it by making payments, or it ended?
No, I could go back, but it would, most companies won't do that. I will get my next policy probably in September or October, but I'm going to go through full underwriting on purpose so that I can get as much as I'm shooting for $750,000 to $1 million on my next one, because I've got, clean bill of health now, so I can, do new underwriting. So yeah, but the little one, I kept that as what they call a final expense of funeral plan for my family. That's why I could go through that, but it's too much work. Once you start lowering the death benefit, you're better off just getting that paid up. And if you want more, get another one. You know what I'm saying? Get another policy, which is healthy. And that way you can,
and this is also interesting. Once you're 5 years clean of cancer, you qualify to rewrite another policy?
Yes, ma'am. Most of the companies are 5 years, but some will even go as low as 3 because I didn't do chemo. I was a clean take.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Certain conditions when you're in and out like that, and I still go in at least once a year. I used to do every 6 months, but I've got all my labs. So I have before I got diagnosed, while I was diagnosed, and I still keep copies of all of my medical records because that's what I'm going to send to the insurance company when I'm going to try to get preferred underwriting. I'll probably get standard, but I'm going to ask, of course, for preferred underwriting because I'm going to be able to give them copies of my medical records. But I tell people, you want as much of this as humanly possible to protect your lifestyle. I just cannot stress it enough. It's a leveraging tool. It's a financial leveraging tool. to protect your assets and your lifestyle.
So let me get this straight then. Technically speaking, because you had a clean recovery, it allows you to rewrite it at a higher amount?
No, that's what I'm saying. Most companies won't do that. You could do it, but I'm saying rather than rewrite my existing policy, because I've already lowered it down to the lowest point that I'm going to leave it at. I'm just going to shoot for a whole new policy, period. You understand? I'm going to go back to the same company. I'm going to go right back to National Life and Life of the Southwest. Midland will be my other company because they have the two strongest living benefits out of the entire industry. No one touches those two. And I'm going to shoot for another 500 to 750 each, or $1 million. I might even split it between two companies, but I'm pushing to get it to $1 million in coverage because I understand how these things can work. And they're very cost effective in respect to inflation, you know.
Fantastic.
So, and we can do that on another call.
I'm sure men are going to really gravitate to and see how these can be a definite wealth builder and include it in their portfolio.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we want to thank you, Chris, for coming out and giving us this lecture. I'm going to be asking you to do a couple of other, particularly I work with my savvy women investors, and they're trying to buy property or they have other types of businesses. And the same goes for women that are trying to purchase as well as run businesses. This is something invaluable to have a policy like this. The Index Universal Life. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
You too. And God bless, guys. Thanks a lot. You take care.